Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VII. In the last part we started off the game, and now we're here just outside the Sector 7 slums because it's finally time to talk about the Materia System. Down there in the Materia menu, we can select any given character, and according to whatever their armor is, they have slots and growths, as you can see that are in the middle left. Every slot is where a materia can go. Some are linked, which means that their effects can be paired together, like the all materia I brought up last parts. Every materia has its own equip effects, such as strength, plus and minus, losing HP, gaining MP and such, and requires AP, which is something we'll be adding to the enemy bios from this point on. Every certain amount of AP, the materia will level up, and often gain new abilities like Fire 2, Cure 2, so on and so forth, which is what that materia that we got before the Guard Scorpion last part was, the Restore materia, that's Cure. All materia are support materia, as shown by their blue coloring. That's just so they can support other materia. Magic materia are green. There's yellow materia that are command type. Red, which is summons. And kind of a purpley?
A purple. Yeah. Command. That's not command materia. It's... Is there...
passive effect materia.
Ah!
Like, cover,
HP plus, cover, those kinds of things. And worth noting that not all materias are created equal. There are some magic materias that all cost the same, like they all take the same amount of time to level up, but there are some like Comet and Time that take a very long time to level up, but they also decrease your strength more, increase your magic more. Their effects are more heavy, I would say.
Yes, and while you're on the materia menu, you can tell what kind of growth they have, not only by the little term on the armor screen, but the slots themselves look different depending on the amount of growth they have.
Really?
If they have a little dot in the center, that's single. If the dots look different, that's either double or triple, should the case be, as rare as triple becomes. And if there's no dots in there, or if there's like an empty dot, I think it is actually, they have no growth.
All ultimate weapons have no growth. So
yes.
We'll be definitely seeing that at some point.
And the thing is, with double and triple growth, it's as they say, they double the amount of AP or triple, should the case be, that they take in. The Materia System is going to be your make or break for the game, because if you know it well, and you learn it well, and you can manage the materia well, you're going to have some really good stats if you're a min-maxer, or you're just going to be really ready for the battles up and coming. If you don't manage it well, I think it's going to be a bit harder. I'm going to be frequently just kind of pausing the game, or entering an area and exiting it really quickly just to manage my materia. And when I change my materia setup, I will usually set it up, show it off.
Worth noting, I think all is actually the one that takes the longest. So if you're looking for something that attacks all foes, you'll probably want something like Comet 2 or Ultima, something that attacks all folks instead of just having all.
All materia is worth mastering though, because another thing about mastering materia, if you max out the level of materia, it becomes mastered, and it creates a clone of itself at level 1, which means you have another materia to master. And all materia are very good for that alone, just because, first off, more all materia means more things to multi-target with. However, a mastered all materia also sells for quite a lot.
Million gil, I believe.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. I think it's 1.4 million, actually. As for what I have my materia set up right now, you saw it earlier, but Cloud has lightning paired with ice on the weapon with the restore materia on his armor. Barrett has lightning paired with all on his weapon, and Tifa just has lightning. Lightning is going to be very useful in Midgard because, as I said last part, a lot of enemies around here are machine types.
There are a couple other enemies throughout that have a couple different weaknesses, one of which is really not worth discussing just because we don't have the materia for it.
Yeah. I will say I think the most common elemental weakness is probably wind throughout the game.
There's a lot of flying enemies, so not surprising.
But yeah, for some reason the ID check realized that we're not right for some reason, so we need to get out of here before the cars lock up on us. Notable, just getting through all of this just gets you items. However, if you pass it completely, you also get +5 to both Barrett and Tifa. Failing it just gets you out of it earlier. However, each car has an item for us to get. For instance, we talked to the homeless man, we got an item. I think we got a Phoenix down, which, as usual, raises you back from defeat. This dude here, right before the exit, is going to give us a high potion. I think the next card has a thief that takes some money from us that we need to get back or something. He might actually take a potion. I am honestly not entirely certain. So on and so forth.
This whole train segment, as I said last part, just never made sense to me. Probably just because I didn't know what to talk about.
It's kind of tense for early players because you're just not entirely used to the controls yet. Given the release date of 7, it's a bit rough in that you don't yet have a analog stick. This game uses the D-pad entirely. And the way the D-pad likes to work is depending on the camera angle, where you enter the screen from facing and such. It can be a bit rough sometimes.
I never found it worth it to get the money back from that guy anyways. It's only 100 gil.
Yeah, but I like showing it off. Also, those guys were naked for a good reason. Everyone else nabbed their outfits. That's Biggs there on the left looking like a mafioso, or Leon from that one costume in Resident Evil 4. I believe that's Jesse on the right, and Wedge is dressed like a child. But yeah, we're gonna jump off this train, which totally won't cause any long-lasting injuries. Yeah, why did you come, Tifa? That's not an answer.
Time sensitive. No talking about love right now.
Yep. I guess, but not now, Jesse. We got other things to worry about. That actually doesn't affect anything, if I recall correctly. It's just more or less respond how you wish.
Watch closely.
And then Tifa hit a pole.
I can just imagine that. There's an image of that in my head, and it's hilarious.
By the way, we're getting off this train.
Begin the mission.
Why don't I just get off and then stop?
Alright, sure. You'll see Cloud shrug a lot, it seems.
No ticket.
That's a good point. But yeah, for doing this, we get +5 to both Barrett and Tifa. Now, if you lose that section earlier, you actually have a longer trek to get to the end of this tunnel. And if you go all the way backwards, you can actually find the guard ID checkpoint. And you can trigger an alert to fight a lot of enemies that actually have pretty good experience for this point in the game, admittedly.
Really? I actually didn't know that.
Yep, but now we got our first new encounter for the part, Grass Strikers. 42 HP, 20 XP, 2 AP, and 20 gil. They can drop Spyros, which I believe are use items that slow down the enemy, and I think they can also slow you down with their Silk ability. Otherwise, early game, it's not going to be too hard. Yeah, Silk inflicts slow on one opponent, so yeah, watch out for that.
Huh.
Slow in this game actually kind of sucks. Although, admittedly, something cool about the status ailments in 7, at least for the players, is that, with the exception of 2 of them, they don't last after the battle. So even if you're petrified and you win the battle, you don't have to use like a soft or anything. It's because of that battle use items aren't that worth getting.
The 2 that do last outside of battle actually have use.
Yeah, more on that in probably 5 or so parts? Maybe 6? Oh, what do we have here? An ether. Nice! I might sell that.
Good money.
Ethers are useful items because they restore a good amount of MP, especially for this point, but at this point in the game, honestly, the gil is just more worth it.
Yeah. So, we've got 2 enemies here, one of which is the rocket launcher, 50 HP, 3 AP, 13 experience points, and 7 gil. Don't have any drops. Very interestingly enough, they have 200 magic defense, which is some of the highest I've seen in an early game. And they have double damage from lightning, just cause, you know. Machines.
And the other enemies are blue goos, which are these weird flying blowfish. I don't get that, but they have 120 HP, 18 XP, 2 AP, 35 gil. They can drop potions, which not too useful, obviously. And I think they have a Hell Bubbles ability, which I think is just straight up damage. Actually, no, Hell Bubbles can inflict sleep. And sleep is probably the most annoying out of all the status items that we can inflict at this point, just because you can't do anything. Though you can attack yourself with another character to wake them up.
Huh. Just make sure you don't KO the character.
Yeah, not that that's much of a worry at this point because you have a decent chunk of HP versus very low attack. At this point, we're dealing like less than 100 damage more often than not.
Now, something I actually think is pretty interesting. There's no way to get 0 defense in the entire game without a very specific item that you get late. Because you can't remove equipment. With the exception of accessories.
Yeah, accessories are the only things you can take off. No character is ever without a weapon or armor in this game. But yeah, as Jesse just said there, the reason we may have gotten caught was because you might recall she mentioned making an ID for us specially. That special ID is what got caught. Jesse is the reason we had to jump off the train early. Whoops.
God damn it, Jesse.
Hey, she meant well.
She's trying her best.
Yeah.
So, this seahorse-looking thing here is called a Choose Cannon. Choose Cannons have 36 HP, 23 XP, 2 AP, and 30 gil. Surprisingly, not weak to lightning, considering that they're considered machines. They're called tanks. They have something called Rolling Claw, which probably just does extra damage, and you...
I think that does 12.5% of your current HP.
So to fix damage. Attack.
Yeah.
Drop potions, not very useful, especially considering that it's only a 12.5% chance.
Yeah. Also, between parts, I actually found the exact calculations for the limit breaks we've used thus far. Braver does 3 times your normal physical attack damage, while Big Shot does 3 1/4 times normal damage. So if you're actually against boss fights, Big Shot might be a better choice. Oh, and Tifa has her limit break. Hers works a bit differently, but we'll show that off in a little bit. I'm trying to remember if I actually saved that for the boss fight or not. In the long run, while limit breaks are very good for boss fights, you might want to just use them as soon as you get them, just so you can get higher level ones sooner.
It's good to actually use them against bosses and let the bosses attack, because bosses normally do more damage, of course, and that actually makes the limit break gauge go a bit higher.
Yeah. Also, we got a 10th there. As usual, 10s can only be used at save points or on the world map, should the case be. There's no actual little cutscene for them this time, though. You just use them when your HP and MP are fully restored as a status.
I'm getting
this looks a bit familiar.
deja vu.
Well, it makes sense for Mako reactors to be very similar looking. They're basically just installations. But it does have the next new enemy for us. This is the Smogger. 90 HP, 32 XP, 3 AP, 60 gil. Weak to light. Actually, no, they're not weak to lightning. They can drop deadly wastes, which are interesting items given that they are the first battle use item we've found. What they do is cast, I think they cast Bio upon use?
Must not be a very strong spell.
Yeah, they deal poison elemental damage. They can inflict poison. It's basically Bio 2. And they have smog. They have 2 types of smog attacks, actually. One that inflicts poison and one that inflicts blind / darkness.
I don't think darkness does very much in this game, does it?
It's better than it's been, but it's still not very good, if that makes sense.
Like, it's not super bugged. It's not as bugged as it was in 6.
Yeah, 6 is probably still the worst one we've ever seen.
I actually like to keep darkness on characters in 6 just because, ooh, sunglasses.
And then you use it in and it leaves. Whoa, it's happening again. This isn't right.
Whoa.
Tifa, it's a nice hat, but what the hell's going on here? Sephiroth. What the hell's that? Sephiroth killed your father? I'm sensing a lot of background information we don't have yet.
She mad.
I'm sure that meant nothing. Yeah, get a hold of yourself, Cloud. Come on.
Very sudden fainting spell.
Come on, man.
Hop to it. No forgets.
Yeah, I'm sure that's nothing. Oh, come on. I didn't actually know you can get into encounters on this screen until now.
It's very strange. So we've got 5 proto-machine guns here. 100 HP, 16 XP, 2 AP, and 15 gil. Weak to lightning, obviously. And they attack with machine guns. Big surprise.
It's basically just a physical attack. Nothing really worth it. Whenever there's enemies like this that generally don't have much to them, they like to spam a lot of them at once just so you can get some decent experience points out of it and have some actual threat at you. But as you can see, 10 damage isn't a lot. Also, did we use Tifa's Limit Break when I wasn't looking?
You might have used it off screen?
Potentially. Either way, we'll see.
Because I didn't see it either.
Alright, Guard Scorpion? Guard Scorpion? Oh, no Guard Scorpion.
Not
cool.
one. You'd think that all the Mako reactors would have some kind of security system, right? Kind of like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a little suspicious, honestly. Oh, well. Now, for some reason, I'll always remember this screen in particular, because something that we had when I was younger, even though it was technically my brother's, was I forget if it was Brady Games or Prima Guide for 7, and they had, like, each of the maps in detail and such, all that sort of stuff. And I just always remember looking through the areas just to see the maps. Although, in interesting case, I actually knew most of the story before I played most of the game because of that guide.
So you had it spoiled for you before the internet.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't before the internet. Keep in mind, when I first beat this game, I was probably 6 or 7, but...
Before you used the internet to figure out stuff about this game.
That. I didn't really start being on the internet in total until late 6th, early 7th grade, maybe 2009 or 10.
And now it's just become a very big part of our lives. Also, I hate this minigame.
This part always retroactively reminds me of a portion very early on in Final Fantasy VII Command Mission. Mega Man X Command Mission. What you have to do here is just time correctly and press the buttons at the same time as Barret and Tifa. It's very simple, but can actually take a couple of tries just because you might have to get used to the timing.
Yeah, I remember having difficulties with that my first few times playing through. I still have difficulty with it.
Alright, let's get out of this place before it blows. Alright, let's head that way. Okay, let's not head that way. Let's head the other way. Alright, I guess we're just not gonna head the other way. Okay. Yeah, there's a reason we didn't find a guard scorpion. It was a
They
trap.
knew we were coming.
Makes you wonder how they knew which one we were gonna be at, because we started at, I think, the Sector 8 reactor, and this is the Sector 5 reactor, so we went out of order just so we wouldn't be too predictable. But how would they know we would go to this one?
I actually figured that might be because of the ID check failure.
Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I never thought about that. But yeah, this is President Shinra, and he knows that we're Soldier based off our eyes. Soldiers are infused with Mako energy, and it turns their eyes kind of this weird bluish green. But he doesn't remember us because we're not Sephiroth, which kind of a dick move, but you're a CEO, you have a lot of employees, it makes some amount of sense. You're still a dick, though.
Still a dick.
Yeah, serves you right. And now something we actually can't see on his model right now because it's too far away, but President Shinra constantly has a cigar in his mouth.
Really? Dang, I did not notice that.
Yeah, it's much more clear in the PC version, and it's much more clear even in the PlayStation 1 version and a scene later on, but we'll see it. But yeah, they're gonna try and kill us, and he has a toy set up just to do that.
A toy. Interesting.
Whoa, giant robot. This is the Airbuster.
Very interesting boss, actually.
Yeah, this is a bit of an interesting one for the series. Not many bosses do this. Also, I love the helicopter model for some reason. Just looks really cool. Yeah, we should, but we should probably take care of the giant robot in our faces right now before it does something to y'all. But keep in mind, our keep in mind our party layout right here. Because the Airbuster is our next boss, and because we're on two sides of it, this is actually a Pincer Attack. There's someone on both sides of it. And this leads to a very interesting strategy in that there's always someone who can deal double damage to him. The Airbuster has 1200 HP, 180 XP, 16 AP, 150 gil. We'll drop the Titan Bangle, which is a better piece of armor upon defeat. And it has a couple of different attacks. It can always attack anyone from any angle, especially with its rear gun, which it can use to attack you from behind. But the main strategy we want to use here is have someone attack us so that it turns around, usually with Bolt, and then use a limit break on its backside to do double damage. If it'll turn around.
It's RNG if it turns around, right? Turns around, yes?
I think, I know it's resistant to fire, so if you got a fire materia earlier, I don't recommend using that attack against it.
I believe it takes ×4 damage from Cloud's sword specifically? I could be wrong there. Doesn't it take extra damage from the sword?
I don't think so. I think it always starts its first 4 turns with Program 1 operation, which might be the machine gun. But it also later on in the fight loves to use Big Bomber, which this hurts.
Don't worry, it just gets your limit gauge built up.
Yeah, not that that matters too much though, because the thing is with limit break bars, if the character gets defeated, even if it's at max, they lose the entire bar. As we see, okay, that was close.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. One thing I will say about this playthrough 7, because I'm trying to show off what the bosses can do, sometimes I get really close to death. I probably could have killed them a lot faster in a lot of instances, but I just didn't. Either way, here's Tifa's limit break. It brings up a slot reel. There are 3 things on the slot. Miss, which means that you don't get that hit. Hit, and yeah does more damage.
Double, I think. It treats it like a critical hit.
In particular, yeah damage is double. The first attack in her limit break is Beat Rush, which deals 1.25 times normal damage, so you can deal 2.5 times if you get the yeah. Not too powerful, but it's worth it. Let's get that bravery in, and this should end the fight. Yeah, turn functional, now operational, so now Cloud's always gonna have the backside. However, rear gun. Ow.
Dead. At least you used the limit break already.
This is actually the earliest I've had someone die in this game in a good while. And it gets worse.
Just because you're trying to show a couple things off.
Ah, shit. Phoenix Downs I usually don't like using in this game because they're pretty valuable, but I don't want to lose now.
Targeting is hard in this game, I've learned.
Yeah, depending on the camera angle, targeting specific party members or enemies can be kind of specific. Yeah, let's get that Phoenix down up, and let's just kill him. I don't want to lose my party members. Let's go.
Besides, everyone gets experience from it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, because
Energy Ball? This isn't Pokemon.
I think if a character is knocked out, they don't get experience points or AP.
That is correct.
So, yeah, be careful. When it can no longer turn when that turn function is no longer operational, I believe that means it's below 25% HP. But that's the end of the fight. Not too bad, but as you can see, if you let the damage get out of control, it can go down pretty quickly.
You get a Titan Bangle, which is an upgrade.
Yep.
And you'll be having that Titan Bangle for quite some time, if I recall.
Yeah. This is,
That's nice.
precarious. Cliffhanger!
Are you going to be a wuss, or are you going to be a man?
Alright, now here's another dialogue option. If you say, be strong, you get 2 points to Barret. If you say, I don't know I can hold on, Barret loses 3 points, but Tifa gains 1, therefore I'm choosing that option. But yeah, my arm's getting a bit tired here, man. A little help, please? Come on, Barret? Barret? Barret!
Oh, there he goes!
You know, that Mako reactor also had a much smaller explosion. I guess Jesse got the bomb fixed. And that's the end of Final Fantasy VII. Pretty short game, all things considered, but pretty good. You alright? I'm fairly certain I'm dead. Voice in my head. Hey, that rhymed.
Oh, it did rhyme. Huh.
Yeah, but back then, skin knees, what?
That time.
Yeah, what is
Interesting.
going
Cloud
on?
thinks about the present.
Yeah.
Oh, it moved.
Oh god. I'm sure everything's fine.
Considering who's talking, who will be talking as we see. Interesting that Cloud is referred to as an it.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. But yeah, it's the flower girl from earlier. Hello, how are you? Yeah, we're a bit banged up. I'm not sure why we survived that, but it's an RPG. We can survive falls of infinite height.
You don't take fall damage in RPGs.
Well, older JRPGs. Modern action RPGs, yeah, you do. I think you even do in 15. Yeah, but apparently the reason we survived is that the roof partnered with the flower bed broke our fall. Okay.
Quite resilient because this is a sacred place. Interesting.
Ah, religion.
That's something you see quite often in Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, but this is apparently a rarity in Midgard. Due to the lack of sunlight and rain, flowers are very rare in Midgard, particularly under the plate, but they have no problem growing here for some reason. Something they never really explain why.
It's to give this character some character.
I suppose. Yeah, I remember you. You're the slum drunk! Yeah, that never changes anything, but it's just a funny thing. Yeah, I got some materia. Some of my weapon. Here's, look at my sword, it's really big.
I actually
And,
just wondered. The Buster Sword has 2 holes in it, right?
Those the materia slots?
That's what I thought.
I think that's supposed to be what they're be. That was good grammar. But yeah, this lady has a materia, but apparently does nothing, a rarity, but the reason she keeps it is that it was her mother's. I don't mind. Not got much to talk about, all things considered, but yeah.
Any time is time.
True, true. Now, this happens a couple times in the game as well. For some reason, I think we're watching a scripted scene, but you're actually supposed to move. I'm supposed to be walking right now. Whoops.
That happens more with... That's actually happened in... Let's see, it happens in 7 for me. It's happened in 9 once. It has happened in 10 too, I think.
But now it's time for us to name this character. This is Aerith. They translate it as Aerith because in Japan her name, I believe, is Erisu. And the Su part with other words has been known to be mistranslated as both th and s. Throughout various incarnations, basically the L and R thing again. Another notable instance of it is Metroid 1, where they translate planet Zebes as planet Zebeth.
Huh.
A lot of people are purists about naming her Aerith, but to me, she'll always be Aerith. So I don't mind if I sound like I have a lisp the entire game. But yeah, that's the only character I'm even remotely changing the name to. I considered changing another's name just to make things a bit simpler, but I didn't end up doing that.
That's actually the character I thought you were changing.
But yeah, this is Aerith, and that guy is kind of being a creeper, so apparently we're going to be a bodyguard for her.
Get me out of here. Take me home.
Take me home, West Virginia.
A date? Interesting.
Ooh.
I'm already interested in Tifa.
The thing I like about Cloud here is that he's like, oh yeah, I'll do just that. Okay, why does no one know Cloud? Does no one remember us? But Cloud knows this dude. Mostly due to the uniform. This is Reno of the Turks. More on what they are in a little bit.
The Turks are actually super interesting. I really like them.
Yeah, I think they get better in extended media compared to 7 itself. Particularly Crisis Core, which, yeah, is a thing, and some of the other stuff. Also, I should probably mention, even though I have Let's Played Crisis Core, I'm keeping things that happen in that game that are relevant to Cloud and some other characters on the down low for the game. So if anyone who has played the game before, can keep spoilers out of the comments until that happens in the game, that'd be great.
Especially because this came first.
Yeah. Also, Reno, you just stepped on the flowers, you dickbag.
Hypocrisy.
Thy name is Reno. But yeah, Aerith's the next character, and she's also the next character for the date mechanics. She starts with 50 points.
That is.
And yeah, the game is heavily skewed towards her, so I have to make sure I make her lose as many points as possible. But I did show off her setup there. You actually usually want to keep her in the back row because out of all the characters, she's the most dedicated to a class. She's basically a white mage.
So these next enemies here, I actually hate these enemies in every game they're in, including this one. These are Hedgehog Pies. 40 HP, 20 EXP, 3 AP, 25 gil, weak to ice, and they drop potions. Although, well, it's not really worth mentioning, but you can steal ethers from them. So if you want to come back after getting a certain thing that lets you steal, you might be able to get some good things out of that.
They can also use fire on you, I believe.
That is correct. They can use fire. They're pretty dangerous because they also have body blow, which can deal like 80 damage or something. It's pretty hefty.
Yeah. Well, what should we do? We keep running, Aerith. Alright, come on, you can do it. I'm sure that dress won't hamper you in any way. Although I do like how they managed to make Aerith's dress look with the polygonal graphics. They just basically made it 2 legs that are the big blocks. Oh, God.
Got shot at. Oof.
I'm sure she's fine. Now, this sequence heavily impacts the scene mechanics. We want to tell Aerith to hold on. There are barrels we can push up here, and if you knock down the right ones, you can prevent Aerith from fighting. The way that this works is that I'm pushing down the wrong barrels on purpose to get -3 points towards her for every single wrong one. You could ask Aerith to fight the people, which I think makes her lose 1 point. Asking her to run causes no change. If you ask her to run and she has to fight anyway, it's also -1. But if you push the right barrel, it's +1.
Huh.
So, wrong barrels every time, all the time. Although, when I first tried to do the Tifa scene that we're going to see later on, I accidentally pushed all of the right barrels because they don't have them exactly where you'd think they would be. So that was troublesome. I believe the fights that they have you go against with Aerith are just Hedgehog Pies, MPs, Guard Hounds, basically stuff from the Sector 8 reactor.
Yeah.
It can be a bit difficult because Aerith doesn't have much in terms of physical attack, but as long as you're using the magic, you should be fine.
I love watching Aerith's reaction to Cloud doing it wrong.
Aerith is another character I think kind of got in some of the later stuff, just like Cloud. She became very Messiah-like in some ways, when in this game she's very snarky and sassy herself. More on that later on. Seven's a big fan of flanderizing some of its characters in later stuff.
Bit fan servicey, not gonna lie.
Wow, the Turks have been after her before. But now it's time for us to learn about the Turks. They are basically Black Ops for Shinra. They scout for Soldier, they do hits, all sorts of secret stuff. They're very dangerous. Although, interestingly enough, the only Final Fantasy VII game we have never gotten is, or at least here in the West, is Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII, which retails you playing as a bunch of Turks against the first Avalanche, which were a bunch of assholes. And that's an interesting thing, but we just never got that for some reason. For those who saw or played Crisis Core, Cisne is based off one of the player Turks from that. I think female Shuriken.
So that's where Barrett got his bad behavior from.
Yeah, sort of. More on that later. And yeah, Aerith is obviously not an athlete like we are. Sorry, Aerith.
I like her, although I don't like the date sequence with her.
Yeah, more on that later because we are showing off all 4 of the scenes. One of them was harder to get than the others.
Indeed.
Because the thing is with the date, it's date mechanics. Aerith has 50, Tifa has 30, Barrett has 0, and you think that would make Barrett the hardest given that someone else has 10? But depending on how you go through the game, you have plenty of time to give Barrett's points and take away from Tifa and Aerith.
Who's the other character that has 10?
The other character can join so late that there's just not much of a choice to give them points. You need to really subtract from people.
Oh man, I'm actually wondering who that character is right now because I'm trying to.
Yeah, we'll see later on.
No, it's not. Oh,
We'll see. Also, bringing Aerith to the front row for the purpose of getting some extra.
If it is, that's
for her.
hilarious.
But with that, we're going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we'll be exploring the rest of this part of the slums and seeing where we can get to Aerith's house from here to deliver her back home. See you guys then.